Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders for preaching his word truthfully and sincerely, and shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And I say shalom to you Akim out there. And this is a sit-down lesson that I wanted to bring out on this March the 13th, 2023 from RT.com, business news category. And it reads, because I'm bringing out two news articles, and this is the first one that I'm about to read. Due to the recent the Silicon Valley bank failure for the past 3 days, the collapse of it. And this is a recent news article. It says the third U.S. crypto bank collapse. It says regulators shut down Signature Bank after its shares plunge in the wake of Silicon Valley's bank failure. And I believe the markets opened today lower due to the worries of the Silicon Valley and I believe other banks as well too. Kind of felt the effects of this Silicon Valley bank failure for the past 3 days or so. Started from Friday all the way into now. So I just want to add a note to that as well too. It says regulators shut down Signature Bank after its shares plunged in the wake of Silicon Valley's bank failure. It says the New York-based Signature Bank was shut down by U.S. regulators on Sunday, becoming the third failure in the country's bank industry less than a week. And it says, according to the joint statement from the Federal Reserve, U.S. Treasury, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. And I believe, what's that lady name from the Treasury, Yellen and Joe Biden? Her and Joe Biden made a statement was saying that you'll have your regular deposits is going to be safe as of today, but we'll see if that happen. I just want to add a note to that as well too. And the ones that I believe yesterday they was going towards their banks to get early deposit out of it, just in case this furthers on, just in case if this possible of this collapse is gonna further on during this week, starting as of Monday. So, but according to Joe Biden and the Treasury person, her name is Yellen, I believe. She was saying that it's not gonna be no bank bailout or nothing like that, and she said everything is gonna be back to normal as it was, due to the fact that it was a collapse of the Silicon Valley banks and the other banks as well too. Kind of follow that lead. They was affected by that as well too. About the Silicon Valley banks had collapsed and crashed as well too. So we'll see if this continues on, But it says, but in the meantime, I'm gonna read it furthermore. It says, according to a joint statement from the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Treasury, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, right? Because once the the Silicon Valley Bank was collapsed as of from Friday, they switched it over to the FDIC to further notice all the way until Monday once they made that announcement on Friday. So, like I mentioned again, we'll see how it plays out during this whole week as we entering a new week in the month of March of 2023. And then we're going to see how the stocks and markets react as well too, and the banks that's being funded in these stocks and markets as well too. We'll see how it's going to uh, the banks react and the stock markets react as well too. If it's going to react in a downward spiral way, or it's going to have positive gains. So we'll see throughout this whole week how it plays out. So I just want to add another additional note to that. It says, according to a joint statement from the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Treasury, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation (FDIC), the lender was closed by its state charity authority. The statement was from the regulators issued to announce a new emergency program to protect depositors of failing banks. They explained that they would make a systematic risk exception for both Signature and Silicon Valley banks, the SVB, and a tech and startup focused lender that was shut down following a bank run last week, allowing the clinics to both banks and have full access to their deposits. Right, because at first it was a minimum 250,000 of how much they can withdraw, and I think the ones that actually lost some of their, the ones that the consumers, that ones that have these banks account, I guess they lost some of their money. And then they were saying the ones that did lost their money, they was trying to go to the banks to withdraw their money due to the fact that this happened as a Friday and that leading all the way into Monday. They made another announcement, said the ones that actually lost their money, they'll be able to regain it back according to the reports of that as well too. I wanted to add a note to that. So, but then again, we'll see how this plays out. If it's going to continue to collapse, continue to collapse, or it's going to be back to regular normal, or it's going to affect other banks as well too. So we'll see how this plays out. But definitely as of Friday, that Silicon Valley, it was like one of the downfall of the worst collapse of a bank since 2008, I believe, since the recession that we had. So like I made the statement again, since they say it's going to be back to normal and the bank deposits is going to be protected and back to normal, we'll see how that plays out. It says the statement from the regulator was issued to announce a new emergency program to protect depositors of failing banks. They explained that they would make a systematic risk exception for both Signature and Silicon Valley Bank, the SVB, a tech and startup focused lender that was shut down following a bank run last week, allowing the clinics of both banks to have full access to their deposits. And it says that SVB depositors will have access to all their money starting Monday, March 13th. We are announcing a similar systematic exception for signature banks. All depositors of this institution will be made whole. As with the resolution of the Silicon Valley, no losses will be borne by the taxpayer, the regulator said, adding that would use the FDIC Deposit Insurance Fund to fully protect all depositors, both insured and uninsured. It says Signature was a big lender to the crypto industry as of December the 31st, and it had 110.4 billion in total assets as 88.6 in total deposits, according to a security filing. New York State officials said the move to close the bank was made in a light of market events in a bid to protect bank clinics and the financial system. In the wake of the SVB's collapse last week, Signatures also saw its shares plunge following the deposit overflow. The collapse of the Signature is the third significant failure in the U.S. banking industry within the past week. California-based crypto-focused Silvergate was the first to announce its impending liquidation last Wednesday, following by the SVB explosion on Friday, the largest bank collapse since the financial crisis of 2008. Bank failure sparked concerns over the health of the entire U.S. bank system, with many other lenders seeing their stocks plunge. Right, so we're definitely going to continue to see the stocks plunge potentially during this whole week. And this is a second news article I'm going to bring out as well too. And it says the U.S. dollar slides amending bank turmoil. It says markets expected a pause in rate hikes. I highly doubt that the rate hike's still going to continue, right along with the inflation as well too. It says markets expect a pause in rate hikes while regulators deal with the aftermath of bank failures. It says the U.S. Index, which measures the greenback against 6 other major currencies, plunged to near 1-month low on Monday, following a Goldman Sachs forecast that Washington will likely halt rate hikes. According to the trade data, the index slid 0.6% to 103.9 by 9 a.m. And it says the Goldman previously forecast predicting a 25 base point hike at the next Fed's meeting in March. It says the change in expectations came after the U.S. regulators on Sunday announced a new emergency program aims at protecting bank clinics following the failure of Silicon Valley banks and Signature banks last week. And it says, according to the joint statement from the U.S. Treasury, Federal Reserve, and Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, that they will make a systematic risk exception to allow insured and uninsured depositors of the failed banks to regain full access to their money. The Fed also separately announced it would make an additional fundings available for banks in the case of emergency through a new bank term funding program. The measures led investors to predict the Feds may be too busy to sort through the fallouts of the bank failures to raise interest rates in the near term. And it says there is a historical correlation between higher interest rates and failure of overleveraged financial institutes. Overleveraging occurs when a business has borrowed too much money and unable to pay interest payments, principals repayments, or maintain payments for operating expenses due to its debt burden. However, analysts say U.S. inflation data released on Tuesday may also affect the Fed's rate hike plans. It says, I believe once they make another announcement, the most likely scenario they're gonna increase the tax hike as they continue to tackle the inflation, and it's possibly going to affect the economy as well too. While they face this new challenge of this recent bank collapse, so that's another challenge task ahead as well too. So I just want to add a note to that. But it shows you a sign more and more and more that the collapse of the American dollar is soon to be no more value. As we getting closer and closer to the digital currency. You can read that in Revelations 13 and verse 16. We're definitely getting closer and closer to that. So that shows you a more indication sign of the collapse of the continued economic decline of modern day Babylon and the value of its dollar as well too. And it says the federal hike the key rate on more than occasion in recent months in a bid to rein in soaring inflation. The latest 25 base point increase was announced on February 1st, bringing the rate to a target of 4.5 to 4.75%. Prior to last week, analysts expected at least 3 more rate hikes this year to bring the indications to peak of 5.25 and 5.5%. And some revelations. So that shows you that we are getting closer and closer living out the book of Revelations. We're definitely getting closer and closer. We're seeing signs of that, especially with this recent bank collapse, of the markets collapse, which is going to follow along possibly this week as well too. They're going to have the effects of that, because keep in mind, the markets react of what's going on financially, globally, data statistics, or what the Federal Reserve from the stocks and markets, or what their major announcement going to be. If it's going to continue to increase interest rates hikes, that's going to affect the economy and going to tackle the continuing inflation. As we see the data statistics of the dollar is keep on the value, the paper dollar, or the value of the American dollar as it keep on continues to declining, and the euro dollar as well too, as we see more indications of signs. So that sign will happen to Silicon Valley Bank and other banks felt the effects of that as well too. They said this is possibly like the worst banking system finance crash since 2008. As we showing more signs and examples of that, we're getting closer and closer to the downfall of the collapse, and no more being in existence of the value of the US dollar and the euro dollar as well too. So that's going to be very soon a thing of the past, as we're getting further closer and closer to the digital currency. In order to buy or sell and have transactions, you got to have that CHIP, the MOTB, the MARK goes into the charagma. You look it up as the blue letter definition of it. As you look up the word MARK, that reads charagma. of this CHIP technology that's going to be stored in you very soon. And this is what we are getting approached to. That's why I mentioned that we're definitely getting closer and closer to living this major prophecy that's about to soon come very soon, and being fully revealing of this digital currency, of this technology, of the CHIP, of the MOTB, MARK, of the BEAST, which is soon to come very soon. Is going to be fully revealed, because the paper dollar is going to be a thing of the past, and that's going to be globally as well too. The paper dollar globally around the world, it still has some value, but the value of the paper dollar is going to be soon a thing of the past as we're getting closer and closer to this digital currency, the CDBC, Central Digital Bank Currency. And that's what we're getting close to in order to buy or sell, if you're rich or poor, free or bond, to receive that MARK, which is the charagma of this CHIP, of the MOTB, of this technology currency is going to be stored in you in order to buy or sell. And this is what we're getting closer and closer in the book of Revelations. We're getting closer and closer to that slowly but surely. We've seen more indication signs in regards to the potential of the collapse of this economic banking system, as we're getting closer and closer to this digital currency that's going to be fully revealed. And this paper dollar is going to be very soon, slowly but surely, a thing of the past as we entering in this digital currency age, And this is Revelations chapter 13, verse 16. He calls it all, both small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, to receive their MARK, which is the charagma, in their RIGHTHAND, or in their FOREHADS, right? It calls it all both. It calls it all both small or great, free or bond, to receive that MARK, which is the charagma, in their upper part of their body or the right part of their body. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the MARK, or the name of the BEAST, or the number of his name. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the BEAST, for it is the number of a man, and his number is SIXHUNDRED 3THRESSORENSIX. Right, so we're getting approach of the revealing of this current BEAST system, of the MARK, of the BEAST, the MARK, like I mentioned again, which is the charagma of this digital currency, the CDBC, Central Digital Bank Currency, which we are quickly approaching to be fully revealing of the new currency in order to buy or sell of this technology that's going to be stored in you as we getting closer and closer in the book of Revelations, And this is a major prophecy. It's going to soon to come, As we see more signs of the collapse of the value of the dollar, it's going to be soon thing of the past as we going to be living in a new currency of this digital currency. In order to buy or sell, you got to comply. You got to, in order to maintain yourself in this society, you're going to have to comply to that CHIP of this technology that's going to be stored in you very soon. So we're definitely sending indication signs of that, you know. So with that, hopefully this sit down lesson was edifying. I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makarkadash. Double honors to the elders for preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through 4 corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom.